Welcome to Tamara Tattletales. I'm Tamara, and I spill the tea on your favorite reality stars. Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 13, Boston. So this is the episode where everyone meets with either Pastor Cal or Dr. Pepper, and the goal is to find out what question each of them have for their spouse. They did this question thing for the spouses last year. These couples' problems cannot be solved with a question or two. Given that the experts have been absent for most of the season, these should have been counseling sessions on how to cope with divorce. She's talking to the camera, stating that she and Picky are in a really good place and they have both vowed to give 100% into their marriage. So honestly, I think they both decided that it's not going to work, but why not enjoy the free apartment and excursions as friends? So Jasmina met with Dr. Pepper and Picky talked to Pastor Cal. So Picky says that in the beginning, he was doing things for Jasmina out of obligation. Now he's doing things because he likes her. And Pastor Cal is like, aha! I want you to see the progression of doing the work and how the feelings come. And the same is going to happen with her. No, it's not. Pastor Cal asked him about touching and intimacy. And Picky explained that they used to kiss every night when they went to bed, but Jasmina said she was only doing it because that was part of her wifey duties. So he told her, I don't want you to do anything out of obligations. And Pastor Cal said that was a dumb move. You just said that you were doing things for your wife because you felt you needed to as part of your husband duty. She would have eventually gotten to the point where she would have felt the same about the kiss. I don't know about that. So Pastor Cal's advice was to compliment her and initiate some touch. Now, Pastor Cal, that man just got to the point where he's not afraid to say hi to his wife. Now you want him to touch a thigh or something? Good luck with that, Picky. So Jasmina told Dr. Pepper that she's worried that she doesn't know enough about his past because he keeps saying that that's why he's the way he is, because of his past. So Dr. Pepper asked if she's created a space for him to trust her with that information. Well, not until 2 days ago. Jasmina said they look at trust differently. Picky says trust needs to be earned, whereas she gives trust until you give her a reason not to. When it comes to intimacy, she said she's a very sexual person. It's not that she's uncomfortable when he touches her. She just doesn't feel anything when he touches her. Picky, you need to add a little more pressure to your touch. She can't feel you, man. So they meet back at the apartment to download each other on their meetings. And Jasmina said they talked about trust and then asked, what can she do to make him trust her? And he said he needs her to be more vulnerable. She said, in order for me to be more vulnerable, I need to feel like you care and are putting in effort. She sees that he's putting in the effort now with their communication and believes him when he says he wants it to work. So she's no longer purposely holding back and wants to have deeper conversations with him. He said that now that we are in a better space, we can start having deep conversations. Blah, blah, blah. They have 2 weeks and a couple of days left. This is as good as it's going to get between these two. They just need to bring popcorn to the couples retreat next week, sit back to watch the drama unfold with the other couples because we know it's going to be a hot mess. They go grocery shopping for the first time together. Good Lord, these two. So they're walking around the store looking at hot fudge and chicken bones, and then Tootie sees some ribs and gets excited like, can you make a rib? I never seen you make them. I can make a rib. A rib? Is that what y'all call it in Boston or something? Or maybe they're just gonna share one rib? So she says she can just throw some seasoning and some barbecue sauce on it. And he starts quizzing her on what seasoning she's going to use. And she gets stumped like, pepper? He's like, how about some barbecue sauce? I said that before you even said anything. Child, neither one of you are acting like there's such thing as a recipe. Katina met with Pastor Cal and Tootie met with Dr. Pepper. Katina told Pastor Cal that her marriage is good, and like any normal couple, they get into conflicts. FYI, Katina, the conflicts you are having are normal for the year 1952. She brought up the dating app and how she didn't like the way he approached her about it in front of a group of people. And Pastor Cal said she needs to ask him about his past to learn why he approaches things the way he does. No, Pastor Cal, you need to counsel him on not approaching things the way he does. Pastor Cal said, I know you haven't been intimate, so what's up with that? And Katina said, well, no, we haven't, but we're attracted to each other. How do you know he's attracted to you without giving me intimate details? Now, I thought it was interesting that he added without giving me intimate details. If they haven't been intimate, how can there be intimate details? Anyway, so her example was she'll be getting ready and he'll come over and hit her butt or kiss her on the neck. She went on to say that she wants to know that she has real valid feelings before getting intimate and becoming dizzy. She explains in the confessional cam that dizzy is when the sex is so good and it takes over, not allowing you to think with a clear mind. Then when the lust fades, you're like, I didn't even like him. She told Pastor Cal that she's guarding her heart because nothing lasts forever and she has some doubts. And Pastor Cal said that's a single person's mentality and she needs to work through those fears and insecurities. No, that's a smart person's mentality of someone who got matched with a man who chooses chaos when you serve him a sandwich with wheat bread and he told you rye. In the meantime, Tootie met with Dr. Pepper. He explains how great they are together and that they have a lot of things in common. And then she asked if he had any concerns and he brought up the dating app incident again. Dr. Pepper, looking a little scared and barely giving eye contact, said she's glad he brought it up because she was a little upset when she heard that he was all lovey-dovey throughout the dinner, then just threw that out there. She said the impression she gets is that he talks down to his wife. Do I get upset? Absolutely, absolutely. Do I get a little stern? Absolutely. I'll take full credit for that, but I don't talk down to my wife. Absolutely not. He did say he apologized for embarrassing her. Dr. Pepper said, I wonder if you've examined your tone with how you talk to her, because I heard that you have told her that she has no life skills and that she's behind you in terms of maturation. Really, Dr. Pepper? You couldn't just say mature? Who says maturation? Tootie got upset and was like, you're pointing me out to look like the bad guy. This isn't a game to me, but I'm really bothered by all this. If she feels like I treat her that way, then she should say no on decision day. To the confessional cam, Tootie said Dr. Pepper is playing he said, she said, and he's not there for that, and it's totally disrespectful and a spit in his face. On After Party, he said that he didn't like that her opinions were based on what other people told her about him. To him, it was all hearsay. Dr. Pepper asked him if decision day was today, what he would say. He said it's too soon to say, but at the end of this, if she said no, he would be sad. So that sounds like a yes to me. See, this is what they get for waiting 2 weeks before decision day to insert the experts. It's too late for them to come rolling in with their little psychological bonding exercises. They have already resolved their controversy in their own dysfunctional way, and now they've moved on. So they're in the middle of a fight. I told you I need consistency. I told you I need healthy communication. I feel like you're not showing up for me. I feel like I'm the only one showing up in this marriage. I don't want to have an unhealthy fight like this. Raising our voices triggers something for both of us. I will try to be kind even when I feel I have negativity coming at me. Are you ever going to bring kindness into this relationship? Because all you've been giving me is negativity. All I've been seeing is a lack of self-awareness. Her father made it abundantly clear that her mouth is a problem. He told her she needs to watch what she says and how she says it because she can be brutal. But when she and Mark fights, it's like she forgot that she fights like a gangster. Vinny, you never show up for me. Anyway, she starts crying. All I asked for was consistency. Someone who would make me feel appreciated and cared for and wouldn't walk away from me or ignore me. You are so inconsistent. You give me affection, then you pull it all the way back. You'd rather text everyone else rather than message your wife back before bed. You are not showing up for me. Well, I don't feel like you communicate healthy. I feel like you're negative and you complain and you nag. You've said several times, I'm done, and you leave and then you come back. Mark, would you like me to leave right now? Do you want me to leave right now? They both seem to avoid the issue they're fighting about. When Karen voices a concern she has with Mark, he throws an issue he has with her in her face and vice versa. Like, You don't show up for me. Well, you don't have healthy communication. Now, I don't know if they have been doing this all along and I missed it, but has anyone else noticed the lyrics of the song they play at the end of their segments? So Karen storms out, right, and the woman in the background sings, "You're playing with fire and you're gonna get burned, 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 burned. You're gonna get burned." They are low-key clowning these folks through song. So Mark meets with Pastor Cal and Karen met with Dr. Pepper. So Pastor Cal starts off talking about Karen's delivery. He said people deliver a message based on how they are feeling at the moment, and they don't always think about how others are going to receive it. You need to ask her, why does she communicate so aggressively? Okay, so he just gave her a big old pass on her gangsta communication skills. So Pastor Cal helped him realize that the energy that Karen brings to their fights reminds Mark of his mom, who had a horrible temper with his dad. So Mark said his father never said anything. He just took it. And Pastor Cal asked, "Are you afraid of being like your father?" I've never been asked that. So later in the conversation, he says, "I just figured we would communicate better. By now, we should be able to communicate." And now Pastor Cal scolds him by telling him that his expectations are going to screw him up. By now, you should be able to do this, and by now, you should be able to do that. Says who? Says anyone who wants a healthy relationship. Don't be normalizing toxic communication, Pastor Cal. So Karen meets with Dr. Pepper. Karen explains that her issue with Mark is that he is consistently inconsistent and that he gives his all to everyone except her. So Dr. Pepper told her she needs to say things in a way that lets Mark know how she feels rather than deliver it as a criticism. So Dr. Pepper is sitting there giving her sentence structure advice like an English teacher. How about saying, "That sounds bad to me"? "What do you mean?" Or "What are you trying to say to me?" Dr. Pepper did tell her that anger is not her friend in this marriage. Then Karen said that anger is always a mask for sadness. She feels sad all the time. So to the confessional cam, she said that when she was younger, her mom was really quick to cut her down and she was never really showed true love. So typically when she gets mad, it's because of feeling hurt over something that she can't change. So Dr. Pepper told her to go to her sadness and not to her anger. No, she needs to heal her sadness so she won't have all that anger, Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper gave her 3 little questions she wants her to ask Mark. Dr. Pepper thinks she really doing something by coming up with these questions. They're going to be right back at each other's throats tomorrow because those questions resolve nothing. Back at the apartment, Mark and Karen talk about their expert sessions. So Mark said, "Pastor Cal helped me figure out that when you get upset, that I'm like my dad. Why when you get upset do you go to such a place of hurt? For me, it triggers my mom yelling at my dad. I think when I express myself and I don't feel hurt, it upsets me. I don't know how to say it in a way where you don't respond by telling me I'm just nagging you. Like, you want to go there? I can go there too. If you don't care, then I don't care too. You don't need me, I don't need you either. That's just my instant reaction." So for them, I felt like the experts pulled up a lot of raw emotions and new revelations for both of them, but didn't put them on a path to healing. It's like before meeting with the experts, they were just sad about the relationships. Now they're sad about the relationships and how messed up their childhoods were. Thanks a lot. Noisy met with Pastor Cal and Steve met with Dr. Pepper. So Steve talked about Noisy's post on Instagram. The moment you wonder if you deserve better, you do. He said he doesn't know what caused her to post that and it makes him have doubts. So Dr. Pepper agreed that she shouldn't post their problems on social media and she thinks Noisy is doing it based on fears. Really? Because I think it's based on immaturity. Dr. Pepper tells him that one thing that may be making Noisy feel insecure is that he hasn't gotten a job yet. So she suggested that he sit down with her to discuss a financial plan for the future, which is a good idea. So Steve was like, "That's all well and good. I want her to feel secure. But I'm thinking if she's doing this now, it can only get worse. And I feel like I'm being used like a machine to facilitate someone else's desires opposed to creating a future that we both want." Well, Steve, what do you want? What does marriage look like to you? I mean, for real. On After Party, he made it pretty clear that he has a nice savings, which is great. But now what? So Noisy meets with Pastor Cal, and Pastor Cal asked Noisy if she had any questions for Steve. She said, "Yes, finances. I want to know if he can get a job. Can he hold down a job? How are you going to provide for our children? Pastor Cal said, you've never talked to him about this? I'm afraid it's hard for me to ask him that question because I've never had that in a relationship before. Well, why don't you ask him on Instagram since you don't seem to have a problem putting your business out in the street? So Pastor Cal tells her she needs to ask Steve, how do you plan to make me feel financially secure? But Pastor Cal, shouldn't you have asked him how he plans to make his wife feel financially secure during the screening process? So back at the apartment, they talk about their conversations with the experts. Steve brings up the Instagram post. He says, why is it so important for you to broadcast to the world that we are in distress? I can see how you can feel that way, but it wasn't about you. Okay, whether or not it's about me, people are going to assume it is because you're newly married. It wasn't about you. But sometimes I feel that way about our marriage. Okay, so it was about him. Noisy, put on your big girl panties and speak your truth, honey. She said, Pastor Cal told me that I shouldn't put our personal business on social media, and I understand what he's saying, and I understand what you were saying, but at the same time, you're you, and I'm me, and it's my social media, so I have a choice to do that if I feel like it. Steve said he's not walking away from this conversation feeling confident because this is not what he wants in a relationship. It goes against everything he believes in. I mean, we just have very different perspectives. We're just going to have to agree to disagree. With each passing episode, Noisy is getting more and more bratty. I feel like I'm watching a teenager who is a wannabe influencer trying to date her trigonometry teacher. Like they just aren't on the same level. Anyway, she brings up her issue with him regarding finances. How are you going to make me feel financially secure? Steve said, let's have that conversation to make a plan about making money and explore those options. So later on, Steve pulls out his laptop to discuss their financial future. Finally! So he said, you would feel better if we both work full-time positions, right? And she said, yes. And Steve, in all his babbleness, says, I'm not opposed to getting a full-time position, but it very may not be necessary, right? If I make the same money working full-time by creating other opportunities, then that would be great, right? Meanwhile, Noisy was rubbing the heck out of her nose like, dude, you are not making sense, and I'm itching to post about it on Instagram. And he goes on, I know you're used to being with someone who works full-time, but I've had entrepreneur ventures before, and that's definitely a possibility, but I need you to be on board. But if you're not, we can explore other opportunities. But yeah, I understand what you need from me there. Wait, what? So what's the plan? So he goes on to say, another possibility is that maybe you want to take some time for yourself as well. I mean, I don't know if you ever consider that, but maybe you would enjoy these last few moments of freedom before having children. Steve, she's not going to quit her job and ride shotgun on a 4-month road trip with you. You haven't even explained to her how y'all going to pay the bills. In terms of a time frame of having kids, she said she would like to have her first child within the next year. And he said he's comfortable with that. A year? Okay, miss, what's the rush to move in together? You got to get knocked up yesterday to meet that deadline. They all go to play indoor volleyball at a place that has nutritional yeast for sand. And Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper are watching from a secret room. I don't like this. Instead of trying to help the couples, it looks like they're playing games. Y'all have been watching these couples every move all season. Why go out of your way to set them up for a aha, gotcha moment? So they break up into teams, and Katina's missing every shot, falling on the ground, and trying to avoid getting hit. It was actually kind of funny. After the game, they all gather around to chat, and Steve asks everybody how their marriages are doing. So they all go around the circle and rehash what we've already heard them say. And then Tootie said that they were doing well and offered up an apology for the way the dinner ended the last time they were all together. So he gets into what Dr. Pepper said to him about belittling his wife to make himself seem more superior. So he said he just likes to talk and his wife is very reserved. I asked my wife, do I belittle you? And he looked over at Katina and she just kind of smiled. And he said, that's the same reaction I got when I asked her the first time. She just laughed and smiled. I'm sorry, but that reaction screamed, yes, you do belittle me. So he's going off about the he said, she said of it all, while Katina was looking drained and in danger. Like, Katina, seriously, blink twice if you need assistance. So Tootie said that 90% of my meeting with Dr. Pepper was wasted. It was more of me catching Dr. Pepper up on what was going on because it was clear that she didn't know. So Dr. Pepper says, keep talking, Olajuwon. Okay, girl, you're all tough sitting there in the back room next to Pastor Cal now, huh? But it sounds like you need to listen to what Tootie is saying because you're showing up in December to talk about things that happened in October. Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal pop out of the door like an episode of Punk, like, aha! They sit down and said that they want to readdress some of the things they discussed during the one-on-ones. So Dr. Pepper reframes her meeting with Tootie and says that the purpose of what she was saying was to relay what others had observed. She's not there to go back and forth about it because the bottom line is that their marriage is in a good place. And Tootie and Katina were both staring at her like, you a damn lie. That's not what you said earlier. So Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper went around the circle and repeated all the advice we already heard them give. The way they're using the experts now is too little too late. They want to come in on their white horse and try to save these marriages when they're like 2 steps away from the couch on decision day. Like, it's too late.